What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick, and I have an album review for you, or rather an EP review. This is one that came out that I definitely wanted to go over because we went over the last one, and I've been listening to this band for a number of years, namely because they sound a lot like another band that I really like, which is never really a problem. We're going to go over the latest offering from Father Befouled with their new EP, Immaculate Pain. This also comes out on the 13th of September on Everlasting Spew Records. This band formed in 2006 in Atlanta, Georgia. This is their fourth EP overall. They have 5 full lengths. We actually went over their last one again, Crowned in Venificum. I'm not even sure what that word means, but I'd say I've been a fan since probably Morbid Destitution of Covenant. That was the first one I think I picked up, and I instantly said, wow, this sounds a lot like Incantation. Now, this is one of the many projects of Justin Stubbs, who I would say this is probably his focal project, or at least the one that I always associate him with. Incoffination is another one that I think he does really well. He has a multitude of different metal projects. Actually, I'll be going over one in a future collection update that I picked up that I didn't even know he was in. But this guy has been churning out grimy, disgusting, dissonant, just cavernous as hell death metal for years. And honestly, going into this one, I was reminded that honestly one of my favorite releases from Father Befouled is their Holy Rotten Blood EP, which I think is just fantastic start to finish. I think it's one of their best releases. So I was kind of excited to go over an EP again, and honestly, this thing is pretty awesome. Now, it is 3 original tracks and 2 cover songs. Well, I'll be honest, one cover song if you're getting the physical format, both cassette and CD. And then if you go with the digital format, you get a bonus cover because reasons. I don't know why the digital format gets the bonus track. That should be on the physical stuff too, but that's a separate complaint that I will probably revisit. But the 3 original tracks on here are all really solid. The production on here is swampy, it's gross sounding, the guitars are thick, the vocals are just these low, cavernous gurgles. I forget who mixed this, but the mix on here I think is fantastic for what they're going for, just because I think this band needs kind of a swampy, dirty sound to really effectively convey all of the just disgusting evil that they like to pour out in every song. But I do know that this was mastered by Dan Swano, so it does have a nice kind of organic polish on it, as much as you could polish this sound, which honestly, don't polish it too much. It needs to be grimy. This band's sound is built on just flat out filthy, dissonant, almost atonal riffs at times, but they still know how to break down into solid grooves, nasty tremolo hooks. The opening track, which is the title track, comes in with just this instantly hooky, very Morbid Angel-esque dissonant tremolo. It's slow and murky. It's kind of something that you would hear on I don't know, maybe Gateways to Annihilation or Blessed Are the Sick. It's got a good long instrumental lead in too. It's about a minute or so before the vocals even come in. And while it kind of just sets that tremolo hook in your head, it breaks it up with some blast beat sections and then gets down to just, again, that riff with the vocals. I have to admit, it's a bit more straightforward than I was expecting. This song only has a few parts to it. And in the past, a lot of their songs can be very complex, lots of death doom breakdowns and again, weird atonal riffing. And I mean, you get that kind of modeling yourself after Incantation a little bit, or at least you should if you're doing it right. But this song and the next song, Impenitent Faith, both stick to their guns in terms of just delivering that swampy, disgusting sound. The leads are just very strange sounding, very atonal, they're not necessarily very melodic, very squealy sounding. I do think the lead tone is a little bit dry, I think a little bit more reverb on the leads too, kind of adds that extra dreariness, because this is just a big, swampy sounding album. And having the lead tone kind of sound a bit dry makes it sound like it's standing outside of the swamp full of zombies where I think this was recorded. Either way, the riffs are menacing as hell. I like the way that Impenitent Faith stomps its way in with some accented hits and then kind of settles into this slower groove, and then even gets down to the flat out death doom parts, which are, the parts I really look forward to, both in this band and Incantation. Some really good dreary harmonies on them to add, I guess, a fleck of melody. But the big standout in here is Abomination of Flesh. It is the longest song on here. It opens up with quite possibly the biggest standout riff on the entire EP. It is flat out horrifying sounding. It kind of crawls and slithers its way in. The riff pattern itself is odd, and then it only gets stranger when they harmonize it. And I'm going to do the air quotes on harmonize because it's not a pretty harmony. In fact, it sounds unsettling because musically it doesn't completely sound like it comes together, but in a way it really does, because the whole idea here is to come across as just evil and kind of rotten sounding, and it works. It works so damn well. The fact that this song has a more slow and lumbering pace, and again, the riff structure on it, it just gives it a feeling of just complete and utter dread. These are purely apocalyptic melodies that they are playing, and again, the very strange harmonies are almost like anti-harmonies. Like, you have two separate guitar lines that feel like they only link up at a few different points in terms of like the notes, but at the same time, the complete feeling of the whole section there is just ominous as hell. And it works to create like kind of this, I don't know, off-putting hook, which is a weird way to describe it, but I mean, if you've been listening to Incantation and just like cavernous death metal bands like Mortiferum and stuff like that, you kind of know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just listen to it and you'll probably figure it out. But yeah, by the midpoint of that song, there is a breakdown on there that just feels like, I don't know, like pure existential misery manifest in a musical form. It's so slow, monotonous, and atonal. It feels like the song is crawling after you like some half zombie, just, dragging its entrails behind you. Strangely enough, it also features probably one of the most melodic leads on it too. And it's not like super melodic, like, oh wow, that is just bright and sunshiny, like, like a crack of light broke into the tomb or something like that. It's not that, but it is more melodic than, say, the other leads on here. So the three originals in here I really dug. There's definitely one that stood out as just like a clear cut above the rest, but all of them are really good. And then we have two covers, which I think are awesome, namely because one, they didn't cover Incantation, which they've probably done in the past, but two, they picked some really solid bands to cover. The first one is a Morbid Angel cover. We have Pain Divine off of Covenant, which I see as the GOAT of Morbid Angel albums. Altars is a close number 2, but they absolutely nail this song. It's fast and furious. It's a good break in terms of the pace of the EP too, because it feels like it was steadily slowing down with the first, 3 tracks, their originals. This one brings up the pace because I know that song very well. I've been listening to Covenant since I was in high school. The swampier tone of this album in particular really does lend itself to this cover too. Like the guitars sound just thick and nasty, which I know production, some people have argued that the production on Covenant isn't the best. I think it's all right. But I also like the fact that Justin adjusts his vocals. He's in a little bit higher range, but he still maintains like kind of that like more drawn out, gurgly, like Incantation style vocal. But it really works with the song, and they flat out nail it. I did think it was kind of an interesting choice for them to play like, a really fast, aggressive Morbid Angel song. Like I would expect them, again, to pull something off of like Blessed Are the Sick, Gateways to Annihilation, something like that, but they really do a solid job on this one. And my bias towards Covenant is pretty well established on this channel, so, it was awesome hearing a song off that album. Now, the other cover, which you only get digitally, which I hate because that means I have to, like, go to Spotify or Apple Music or a streaming service. I hate digital-only extras. Like, seriously, they even snubbed the cassette guys. So for once, cassette guys, CD guys, we're in the same camp. We deserve this extra track, too, because it is a cover of Abhorrence's Vulgar Necrolatry. And I love Abhorrence. Like, in terms of, like, old-school Finnish death metal, those dudes were absolutely amazing. Granted, I only have this song on the Completely Vulgar collection. That's, I think, kind of the only way to really find this stuff, unless you like got like a super rare copy of their demos. But even despite the very, very muddy, very raw production on the original, I really dig that song. Great riffs. I mean, it's Finnish death metal. That's always in my wheelhouse. And Father Befouled did a great job of covering this one. The production on this song is a little bit different, which makes me think that maybe this one wasn't like completely mastered. Like this was like a demo that they had, like, we'll throw it on for the digital people, I guess. Seriously, it should be on the CD and the cassette. I'm sticking up for you guys too. Honestly, there's part of me that doesn't want to rule out that this cover in particular might have been deliberately underproduced to really capture the vibe of the original. Like, it is notably more muddy, like there's just less compression on that song in general. But, at the same time, it could very well be a demo and just, again, like an add-on for digital stuff. But Overall, I really dug it. And honestly, across the board, I really dug this EP. I like their last full length, and I like a good chunk of their material, but I don't know, like for me, like sometimes it's their EPs that really just jump out at me. So overall, I'm gonna give this 4 stars. I think this is a solid EP. Lots of just great, distant, atonal riffs, huge, just murky, filthy atmosphere. Abomination of Flesh is a huge standout for me. Like, I liked every track in here, but that one in particular, there is a vibe that is captured on there that is just flat out disturbing, but in like a really, really good way. Well, yeah, you can definitely say this band still sounds a lot like, you know, one of their main influences. It's not a bad thing, ever. I love Incantation, and I listen to a ton of bands that sound like Incantation. And yeah, I never have a problem with that. There are tons of bands out there that emulate Incantation, among a whole bunch of other bands that we name drop on here frequently. But as long as it's executed well, that's my big thing. And this EP 100% does. So yeah, if you're a big fan of, Incantation, we'll just get that out of the way there. Not that I haven't said that band's name like, I don't know, 8 times already. It's probably more than that. But also Morbid Angel, Mortiferum, Witch Vomit, Cruciamentum, I'll throw them in there too. Either way, check this EP out. Absolutely killer. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below, thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there. It is also on our channel in the banner in the bottom right-hand corner. But if you're looking for Thralls Metal stuff, you have to go to thrallsmetal.com. We have t-shirts, both old and new. The old ones are discounted, provided we have your size. And we even have hats too, so if you're looking for any of that stuff, click the link down below. And of course, thank you guys so much for everything you guys do, the likes, comments, subscribes, just chatting us up on live streams, everything. This has been, again, such an amazing journey on here. And I'll be honest, I still think this is one of the coolest things that I have done in my life. It has just been an absolute joy. So thank you guys so much for everything you guys do. And we will catch you later.